Could you just state your name and how long you've been working for public safety?
My name is Gregg, and I have worked here at the University of Portland Public Safety for about a year and a half.
Okay. During this time, have you seen or dealt with a lot of alcohol incidents?
Alcohol incidents are a regular occurrence that my staff deals with. The consumption and in some cases the overconsumption of alcohol.
And why do you think focusing on alcohol consumption, specifically of college freshmen, is important?
So here we have an 18, 19-year-old person who has moved out of, in most cases, moved out of their family home for the first time. They are living, quasi-independently. They're in a different environment in that, their spousal, their parental unit is not sort of keeping tabs on what's going on, what's happening, when are they coming home, when are they going to bed, and what sort of activities are they engaged in. So now all of a sudden you've got this very new environment of freedom and the ability to make choices they maybe wouldn't have otherwise made or been able to make, and so they may run across the opportunity to consume alcohol, and so they need to understand that there are risks associated with alcohol consumption, and they need, like all of us have had to learn, responsible behavior as it relates to alcohol consumption.
Okay. In your experience, what is the difference between female and male alcohol consumption?
While it's not exclusive to either gender, we typically see more males engaging in risky behavior associated with alcohol consumption. But that's not to say that we don't find plenty of females engaging in the same risky behavior.
And what would you define as risky behavior?
Overconsumption.
Okay.
Straight shots, let me just say, nothing good ever comes from straight shots. Straight shots are very dangerous. You are ingesting, a significant amount of alcohol into your system in a short period of time, and the body, the human physiology doesn't have the opportunity to deal with, ingestion of alcohol at a normal rate. All of a sudden, it's dangerous. People become inebriated. There's just inherent health risks when you find yourself in that situation. Our concern often is if you find a highly intoxicated person, can they be left alone? Or do they run the risk, if they're passed out, of vomiting, which is a natural reaction of the body to try to rid itself of this poison, and if they do vomit, are they going to aspirate and die? Very dangerous. There's the sort of the obvious often forgotten things, like you fall down the stairs, you trip on going up the curb and break your head open, or you, God forbid, get in a car and drive and kill somebody else, or injure or kill yourself. So the risks are as broad and wide as your imagination when you're talking about overconsumption.
Many people experience social or peer pressure to drink. Do you see this happening, and what is your opinion on this?
I would suspect that it happens. Obviously I'm not typically there at a student gathering, but I'm quite sure that it happens. I think it happens in adult circles in many cases. At festivities and sitting around watching a football game. Here, have another beer, that kind of thing. I think it probably happens in adult circles as well, but I think many adults have developed the ability to say, no, thank you, I don't want another one. They've understand where their limits are and where they want to be on that scale. But young people, sometimes it's difficult to push back on that peer pressure and to say, no thank you, I'm quite all right, I don't want a drink, or I don't need a drink. And I would hope that our students and young people everywhere would understand that it's okay not to drink, even in a social setting where many people are. It's okay not to drink. You don't have to drink.
Mm-hmm. You've talked about some of the negative effects of alcohol consumption. Is there any more you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, there's certainly, imminent dangers associated with overconsumption of alcohol. As we talked about, the ability to hurt yourself, to lose control of what's going on in your life at that moment, and what's going on around you, and your ability to interact with what's going on around you, I guess I would say. Mm-hmm. There's the obvious potential for physical injury or death, either from an automobile crash, or somebody gets intoxicated and falls down the stairs, or I just saw a news article the other day where somebody fell off a balcony, at a hotel, where overconsumption of alcohol was a factor in that. You fall off a balcony in the 8th floor, you're dead, game over. So there's those obvious physical dangers and risks. Then of course there's negative health impacts. I mean, think my doctor told me that when you exceed 1 or 2 drinks at the outside, glasses of wine, for example. Many people think, well, I just drink red wine because it's good for your heart. Well, if you exceed 1 or 2 glasses of red wine in any given day, then the negative impacts of the consumption of that wine have voided the health benefits of consuming that wine. Mm-hmm. And so there can be negative health impacts, and there's in the extreme case there's the unpleasant reality of alcoholism, and how it is both physically from a health perspective, and well beyond that into all aspects of people's life can be very disturbing.
Mm-hmm. Sexual assault on college campuses. That's a very prevalent problem. How big of an influence do you think alcohol plays in the problem?
In many, the information that I have seen, and my experiences, in many cases, alcohol is a part of the equation when this sort of thing happens. Mm-hmm. It's a factor, whether it's gross overconsumption, or whether it's consumption to the point where somebody's inhibitions are reduced, and their ability to control what's going on in their life and make sound decisions, and clearly consider the ramifications and the results of what's going on, anywhere on that spectrum. It could very well play a significant part in the situation.
What advice would you give to incoming freshmen about alcohol?
I guess I would say that you don't need to drink to have an enjoyable time. You don't need to drink to be in a social setting. In most cases, you're not permitted to drink by law because you're not 21. In Oregon, if you're under 21, the legal exception for you to drink is when you're under the supervision of your parents, or a parent in the family, you know, in your home. So, I mean, first of all, it's not lawful, and it's against university, you know, student conduct policy. The community standards are, you're not 21, you're not supposed to be drinking. You know, so there's that, and then, you know, it's about responsible behavior. I mean, I'm well beyond the age of 21, I can legally drink, but I'm also obligated to behave responsibly when I do drink. And quite honestly, it's a learning thing. People have to sort of learn what their tolerances are and how alcohol affects them, and you know how they behave when they're drinking and what's appropriate and what's not. So, I guess I would say you don't have to drink, and you can have a good time at a social gathering even if you're not drinking. So.
Is there anything else you would like to say?
I guess I would like to say that, you know, in my 30 years in law enforcement, you know, nearly every unpleasant, you know, tragic incident I dealt with, there was a relation to drug or alcohol abuse. So bad things happen when people drink too much.
Yeah.
And so, you know, be very cautious.
Okay.